the start of all of that, and not that the barbershop had anything to do with me using or anything like that. Like that was I brought that, with me, and I remember kind of like starting to dabble with the, marijuana, smoking a little weed, and I feel like that was like not part of the barbershop, part of the culture back then. There was a lot of, at least where I was at, there was a lot of, people smoking weed and drinking, and so, that kind of it wasn't a problem yet, but it was starting to become a problem, So I get this new shop, and I'm like a little kid, like when you move out of your house for the first time, It's like, the shop was kind of like my first apartment alone.
We think we know it. We are the shit when we are young, right?
Exactly. And then I started, we all started, Friday nights drinking at the barbershop, smoking, and, doing all this crazy stuff at the and after, and all the people that are coming into the barbershop, because that's, a big part of my problem was like the friends that I meet there. Then it's like, oh, what are you doing tonight? Let's go, boom. And then it would progress into like going out that night or the hookup at the club and partying and on and on and on. And again, not that it was anybody's fault. It was totally my fault. It was my problem, that I could never stop. Or, if I had started drinking and partying, it would go for days. But
what problems that brought to you?
Oh, tremendous problems, yeah. It was all fun. It was all fun until it wasn't fun anymore, That was the thing. There was a lot of good times, so-called good times. But
how long you were dependent on drugs, and what did you do to get off?
Yeah, I'll tell you now, and it all ties in with the barbershop a little bit too, because so I was using since I was like 13. I started smoking weed and kind of drinking here and there, and went all the way to like 30. I've been sober now for 6.5 years.
Congrats,
so 30
brother.
something, yeah. So it was a long run, I guess, considerably long run, and but I lost my shop, man. The one of the biggest, and this gets me emotional because it was tough times, man. Like I let that go. I got so, how can I put this? Like I was just like, I wasn't grateful. I wasn't grateful for what I had. I wasn't grateful for anything. Like I was like, this is annoying to me. Like having to deal with these guys here, and like the barbers were annoying. Everything with the business was annoying me. I had a perfectly good business that was making me money, but that wasn't enough money. Like nothing was enough. Nothing was fulfilling me, And I let it go. I let that go. Lost it, whatever you want to call it. My house, my cars. I mean, talking about everything. I'm talking about
You believe that happened for a reason?
Now I do. I mean, if you don't go, if I wouldn't have gone down, I wouldn't be where I am today. But not the problem, but it happened gradually and for a long time. Like I was dragging along the bottom without noticing for such a long time, and it was so bad.
Maybe they didn't want to see it at the time.
That's what I'm saying. I look back now, and I was just like, I like the type of decisions like that. Like you get rid of your barbershop, you sell it, and you go like to Ibiza and like party away all the money. Like it's just insanity. Instead of making smart, decisions. And I mean, I didn't even have to get rid of the shop. It was a perfectly good shop making money. But again, I was overwhelmed. That's the word. I was overwhelmed by any little thing, because how can I not be if I'm staying up all night, using, drinking, and then come back the next day frustrated, try to make ends meet, go back out, come back in, and then it's not only me, it's everybody around me. I'm intoxicating the whole environment. Not that the environment wasn't part of the problem, but I'm the owner and leader of the shop. I wasn't being a good leader.
It's always cutting you off. It's good to understand who we've been surrounded with.
Yeah.
That's the cycle with the people that you live with. They're gonna drag you. They're gonna help you succeed, or they're gonna drag down with them.
Yeah,
So
exactly. And one thing that I will say is that I'm very happy, like the direction that the barbershop is going now. Not that I think, like again, I always say like I was a problem that I brought into the barbershop, but just in general, I see that barbershops, people are taking it more serious now, and you don't see as much drug use and that type of environment. People are more serious about the business these days, and I'm super happy because You know, I know when I was coming up in the business, there was so much alcoholism and drug abuse, and you know, I see younger kids now, and they come in and they're hungry to work, you know, and or they're hungry to learn, or they're, you know, whatever it is, but drugs and alcohol and all of that stuff is not a problem for as many people as when I started cutting hair. I felt like everybody in the industry was, a lot of people in the industry were using, and that was all part of the aura of
Culture.
of
Part
the
of
culture.
the lifestyle
That
of being a barber.
Correct. And now it's not as much. Now it's more about what we do now, which is, you know, like putting good haircuts, quality, you know, having fun, going contact, meeting other guys, you know, and the culture has kind of changed, and in that sense. So that, you know, I'm happy about that.
What did you do when you lost your shop? So you basically lost in the sense that you didn't sell it. You just like closed the doors and
No,
whatever.
I did sell it. I did sell it, but I undersold it like big time. I basically gave it away. I mean, I sold it for as much as I opened it for, and I had worked on building it, you know. I was desperate. I was desperate to get out of it because, again, like I said, I was just not in the right state of mind to be the owner. So I stayed working there. I stayed working there for years, and I sold it to a guy that ended up becoming a good friend of mine, and you know, he kept the shop running and kept it going, and you know, I'm grateful for him that he you know, he kept the vision. You know, I saw the one thing I did right in the whole thing was sell it. I always felt like I wanted to sell it to a guy that was going to kind of keep the same type of barbershop that I ran, and thankfully he was the right guy, and he did do that. And you know, so I stayed working for him for the next 5, 6, 7 years. I can't remember exactly, but I stayed working with him while things just kept going straight downhill. I'm talking about, you know, it was, we talk about
For the shop or for you?
for me personally, you know, once everything kind of I got rid of everything. We call it falling uphill. I was falling uphill for a long time. Everything was going really, really, really good while I was doing all these, you know, let's call it bad stuff, you know. And then I started falling downhill, you know, and then I was going downhill fast, you know, and things got pretty bad. Again, still some signs of fun, and sometimes we would have good times, but things were just getting darker and darker. With my wife, with, you know, my life, my friends, you know, and then it started becoming a problem, because it started becoming the problem where I would try to stop. Here goes this, you know. For guys like me, it's jails, death, or institutions. You know, those are the 3 options. So they started happening. You know, started going to jail, started getting pulled over by the cops, started fighting everywhere. You know, like things just spiraled down and down. And the sad part was that my wife got the brunt of a lot of it, because we would be having fun somewhere, and we would get home, and I'd keep drinking, and you know, it'd be a major pain in the butt from, let's say, 4 a.m. till the next day, which I would not stop using and drinking and all that. She would have to deal with that. When people would be like, Javi, but you're so cool and you're such a nice guy when we were out last night, you know? But they didn't see
She's the one by your side always.
Yeah, they didn't see the dark side. You know, they saw me having fun at the club or what, a party that we were at or whatever. But that's a problem. That would be on, let's say, a Friday night. I had to work on Saturday. So keep going, all day work, hiding, using, smoking, going to the car, you know, the beer's hiding in the refrigerator all day. Then Saturday all day. So, you know, like what would that, you know, those nights would
You
get.
served time. How long?
And I didn't serve time like that, but I went to jail for, you know, little things, you know, it was nights, 2, 3 nights, but, you know, more than I wanted. You know, I went to jail twice for fighting, for drugs. You know, it was just unnecessary. It's just really unnecessary.
Let me share something on my side. I got locked up for 4 hours because I was driving with suspended lights.
Mm-hmm.
People don't know this about me, only my wife, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I was doing so many things wrong. I used to drink and drive, use drugs. I used to do so many things wrong, and we couldn't see, right? We couldn't get out of this situation.
No.
So I served 4 hours.
Well, yeah, I mean, one of my times was probably, you know, 24. And I mean, nothing serious, but again, why, again, we're good guys. Like, why do we want to put ourselves in those situations? You know, when in reality, that's not who we are. That's not my identity. That's not the guy that I am.
Do you think there's something to do with ADHD or dyslexia?
No, I mean, I belong. I'm in the AA program, and now in recovery, and you hear so many stories, so many different, people with good parents that became people that could read, that couldn't read. I mean, there's endless.
But the same way people been through like abused somehow, physically or not physically. I felt like since we've been through all that behind us with dyslexia, I don't know how can I say this, but I feel like
I have a really good answer for you.
Give me the answer. You already understand my question.
This is a very good. It's a little bit deep, but honestly, the problem is a spiritual problem.
I truly believe that too.
It's a spiritual problem, and all of those things that you're saying are the excuses we use to justify why we drink and drug and do all those things. Those are the reasons why we say, I'm going to drink because I can't read. Like, I deserve drinking. If you were me, you don't understand, but if you were me, you drink too. If you had to deal with getting made fun of in school, you drink too and do drugs too.
Yeah.
But that's not actually the problem. The problem is that what really filled me was God. Until I didn't find that, I was never satisfied with anything.